Hey, look, it's
Hey,
Deborah.
everybody. Welcome. I'm going to ask
Hello.
you to please turn off your videos and your microphones if they're not already off. I don't know why. Okay. There we go. And so welcome, everybody. I'm sure glad you're here. And today is Continental Confidential Live, number
Yeah.
22, with Jeremy Slemenda and Cella Blue.
Hello, how do you do?
A little fun. That's what we needed.
Hey, Cella.
Hey, Jeremy. Hi, stranger.
How you been?
Been all right.
Good.
Definitely hanging in, rolling with it all.
Hey, Deborah. Good to see you too.
That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do is hang in there. Yeah.
Hi, Chicago.
Hi.
Okay. Oh, wait. Did I? No, I guess I did that right. Jeremy, I just unmuted. I just muted.
You muted Jeremy. Yeah, good. That's the
I'm back. I'm back.
She knows you.
You can't
Okay.
silence me.
Turn up that microphone.
Can't hear me.
First of all, because I want to put this into the chat. Where would y'all like to have any kind of tips or donations go?
To y'all. I mean, ultimately they're going to go to y'all.
Yeah.
But either one of our Venmos is fine, and we'll just get it over to y'all to Continental Club. Or we can just put y'all's up. You can just put your Continental Club one up. It's fine.
Whichever way you want to do it is fine with me.
Well, that seems to be easy. It's just you can just put yours up and everything go to y'all for sure.
Yeah, I think that's best because I was like, we could just do it to us and then donate it, but just do it to you guys because that's where it's going.
All right, and I'm typing that in right now. And also, so that y'all know, we actually do have we have merch for sale. 100% of our regular merch sales are going to the Continental Club employees, and we've lost Jeremy.
Yeah, I did see that he went away.
And then we had a special edition limited print of band t-shirts.
I saw that.
And that right now has ended for right
Yeah.
now. It'll be back up again in a month with some different bands that are participating.
Okay, that's great because I got to that late and I was sad. Those were great. It was a very, very cool idea.
Yes, and thank you to Patrick, our head of security for the Continental Club.
Yay, Patrick. Hi, Patrick.
He also runs a Foundry International, which is our print shop and t-shirt shop. And so he's been doing all the hard work behind getting all of those t-shirts out to everybody.
Well, he's got to keep busy, Patrick. So no, that's awesome.
He's working all the time.
It's such a cool idea. So I'm all for it. Good job.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate to have so many people want to participate in it too. It's been great. A lot of them were oh, you're on your iPhone now.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
There,
my iPad died.
There he is.
So
there'll be no pre-charging the iPhone, please.
Right. Okay, kids. Well, we're going to get started by first asking each of you to tell me about your first ever gig. It didn't have to be a paying one, but your first gig.
Oh, wow.
The first gig with the Shivers.
Your first gig, whenever,
Uh-huh.
wherever, with who?
Oh, wow. Back in the 60s, you mean?
So that was me back in the 60s.
Go ahead, Cella. You go first, Cella.
I think maybe the first gig was in I don't know if this is right, but it was kind of a gig. Middle school, John Muir Junior High, and I was in the choir, I was in the chorus, and of course studying music, my love of the music from long ago. And I was given the solo on the year-end album. We did a long playing album, Vinyl Babies, and I had a solo on that record. So so maybe that was my first gig. I don't know. And then I used to do singing telegrams. So I was a singing telegram person, going around delivering joyous messages from people. So that was really fun. And then my first gig with the Shivers, I think, how did this go, Jeremy? Jeremy and I had met. I was looking for a guitar player for another band. We met up and he was like, you got to come to a rehearsal for my band, White Ghost Shivers. So went to a rehearsal, joined the band, and I think the first gig I played one song. I sang one song at the Carousel Lounge. Right? I think that was it. And I remember what I wore, but but I think I did wrong keyhole. You got the right key but the wrong keyhole at the at the Carousel Lounge. So
Oh my gosh.
and then I went and sat back down. I mean, it was the one song I knew with them, so that's how it started. Yeah, we'll call you. Mm-hmm. You did.
Okay, Jeremy, you're up, and your mute is on.
Okay, rookie mistake. So my first gig, I was 14. I remember we had a little band. There was two guitar players. There was a guitar player that was much better than I was, a drummer and a bass player. And my mom had gotten us the gig. She taught at the junior high school right outside of Spartanburg, where I grew up, South Carolina. And so she had gotten us a gig at like a junior high dance or something. And so we'd rehearsed and played a bunch, like a bunch of Metallica songs and stuff, bunch of metal. We were a metal band. And so the day of the gig, we're all young kids. Everybody in the band got scared and quit and just said, I'm not doing it, and quit the band. And the whole thing was off. And my mom was like, bless her heart, was like, my God, y'all are doing this. And so she drove me over to the other guitar player's house and was like, you're playing this gig. And so we got up there, just me and the other guitar player. The drummer couldn't get him to come, or the bass player. And me and the guitar player sat there and played 30 minutes worth of Metallica covers, and then ended up like signing autographs for the next like hour and a half. And I was totally sold on playing rock and roll for the rest of my life at that point.
Jeremy, that was the beginning of Guitar-a-Me.
Yeah, it was. It really was. But I was definitely bit by the bug. I remember I had to leave and like go sit in my car to get away from everyone, get away from the crowd. It was ridiculous.
Oh man,
ridiculous. But yeah, that was my first gig, and
that's an auspicious first gig right there. Woo!
Right, a rock star right off the bat.
Rock star right off the bat.
It's all downhill from there.
all that autographing, never again. I like when you said we were a rock and roll band, and you got all puffed up just when you said that.
Oh yeah,
you were like, we're a rock and roll band.
That's what you do. You get puffed up. You talk about rock.
I know. It lives within you, Jeremy. It lives within you.
poster on my wall.
Ah,
I did a lot of musical theater too. There was that. And then I have to say this too. This was really a big deal for me. I did an improvisational show for many years. Joey and Maria's Comedy Italian Wedding. And I did that, and I started out as just a side, had a side character, and then I became one of the main characters, and I had this great singing role in it, just amazing. And I did that, and I traveled with that for a long time. And I think that show and that improvisational teachings in the beginning really struck. I mean, I was into it before then, obviously, but that really struck it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this.
because
So anyway.
While White Ghost Shivers is very much centered in the music itself, the theatricality of the band is a big draw.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's really what I wanted. I mean, I grew up watching Busby Berkeley and loving the Little Rascals, and always kind of putting on a show and having some sort of show going on, instead of not just the music, but you know what I mean, having an extra. There's a show to be seen.
Right.
And I really wanted to do that. And I was doing theater and all these other things, but you got paid in a band. You know, you didn't just get a stipend or something for your
what?
role.
You get paid?
You got paid in a band. So I was like,
sometimes you get paid.
well, sometimes you get paid. But I was like, if I could do a band that had that element, that show element,
Mhm.
then I had it made.
And I think
and there it was.
that was paramount. I think at the beginning of the Shivers, the inception of the whole thing was it wasn't going to be just a bunch of people that played music, that it was going to be a kind of an event to go see, you know.
Right. And
that was yeah. And yeah, exactly. And that was the point of the whole thing, you know. We're all into so much visual kind of arts as well, that it had to be involved, you know.
right.
Yeah.
And Jeremy, did you have other bands before White Ghost Shivers?
I moved here in '99, and the first band I joined was another band that I'm still in, them Duquesnes, that has played at the Continental. And we still play. We're playing this weekend, actually. But so that was the very first band that I joined, and then it was probably 2 or 3 months later I met Weston, and White Ghost Shivers basically started at that point. So it was, they were all happening around, those two bands were happening around the same, late '99, I guess.
Okay. And when did you get to Austin?
Me?
Yes.
I got to Austin in spring of '99.
And when did you get here, Cella?
I got here in the winter of 2002.
Okay.
And joined the Shivers in 2003.
Wow. I'm thinking it was later than that. Wow.
No, 2000.
It's your 20-year reunion with the Shivers for a long.
It is coming up.
I joined them Duquesnes. We were called the Duquesnes at the time, but I answered an ad in the back of the Chronicle back when bands used to do that, for looking for a country guitar player.
Uh-huh.
Fresh to town. Oh, that's me. Okay. And those are still some of my best friends here in town.
That's
kind of some of those old ads, because some of them were actually for name musicians, but they didn't want to put their name in it.
Right.
And so some of them were very cleverly written.
Right.
That's funny. I had another band called the West Coast Pinups, country band, and everybody ended up moving to Austin, and we had a little stint here in Austin, but originally from the West Coast. And that was an ad. I answered an ad in the paper, and we met up. I remember we met up at Hodad's. It's a little burger place in Ocean Beach, California. But anyway, we met there, and they handed me a tape cassette, and they were like, learn these songs and then come back and we'll get together. So it was just so funny. You answer an ad, then hand over the tape.
Yeah. And I still have the tape that you gave me, Cella, when I joined that band here when you brought it to Texas.
That's right. Learn. Can you play this?
It was like there was like a version of I want to rock and roll all night, but it was I want to honky tonk all night. It was that tape, whatever it was.
Classic. You got the classic. The classic.
I did. I still got it in a drawer somewhere.
That's so what? That should be in high rotation there, buddy.
Yeah. I only had a tape player. No, I do. I still have a high-speed dubber thing, you know.
Oh, nice.
I still got my tape players. I got it all. I'm waiting for it all.
I used to have 3 reel-to-reel tape players.
Wow.
Yeah.
Recorders and players, Casio. And I started out with Philips because that was what my stepfather brought back from the Philippines with him.
Wow. That's cool.
We started interviewing all of our family members on those things, and I've still got the reel-to-reels.
Oh, you still have.
But I no longer have a reel-to-reel player to put them on.
I've got a couple in my garage. People always I fix stuff, so people always give me broken stuff, and I always take it. But I've got a couple in the garage I need to fix up. If I do, we'll have a little party. We'll list
That's
all
what I
your.
was gonna say. You got to have the family interview party. Well,
Right. I know one of those tapes is like, I don't know, like an hour and a half of the radio station in Washington, D.C. that was WMOD. And it was this underground FM station back in 1968.
Wow.
And they were the first ones to play the entire Alice's Restaurant.
Yeah.
oh
In
yeah.
the whole DC, Virginia, Maryland area anyways. And yeah, so that was, that's one of those tapes. And so if I ever find out which one it is, I'm going to get that one converted.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's so funny too. I used to record off of the radio. I used to just record stuff off the radio
Yep, I did too, all the time.
to listen back.
I would make sure I play DJ and end up dubbing my own little, shows basically. Sitting in the back, remember that? Yeah.
So funny.
I used to always tape Casey Kasem's countdowns.
Yeah.
I watched that every Saturday.
So
And I was in LA area, so I was doing Rodney Bingenheimer, Rodney on the Rock. That's what I was listening to. And yeah, oh my gosh, so funny.
Let's talk about influences. Cella, who were your influences growing up?
Well, a lot, just a big mishmash. Parents had a huge record collection and the turntable, so there were just always records playing, a lot of jazz. Both my mom and dad were very much into jazz, but we also, I think a huge influences for me were musicals. And like I was saying, like I watched a lot of musicals, old movies, Busby Berkeley films, and that ilk. So, and that was a big influence for me. And I would end up in the living room, doing performances in front of the mirror. And like we had this coffee table with the glass set in, but I would pop out the glass and lift up the coffee table frame, and like I would be in the coffee table frame, doing performances and things. So I think I was really influenced by the films. But I was listening to, everything, Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday and Barbara Streisand. I love Joni Mitchell, Neil Young. Like I like really so much that I love music. So there was just different avenues and different experiences to take from all of them. So.
And how about you, Jeremy? Who were your influences?
Bette Midler.
Bette Midler, yeah, that's a big one for you, Cella.
That's a big one for me. Bette Midler's a big one.
as we established, I was a metal kid playing in the big shot metal bands when I was at 14 in junior high schools. But Iron Maiden was probably the first band that I really kind of fell in love, made me fall in love with music. That I kind of made that connection, that just generally speaking, music was something that I was really, really interested in when I was a young teenager, I guess. And you know, we listened to a lot of rock and roll when I was a kid, and I ended up getting into country music in my early 20s, I guess. Probably gateway stuff like Hank Williams and Ernest Tubb and all that stuff. And so started to fall in love with all those guitar players from the 40s and 50s, and then found Django and found Western swing, and kind of realized that's really what I liked about guitar playing, and realized that it was kind of, those guys were kind of the punk rockers or the shredders of the 40s and the 50s, you know.
Absolutely.
I kind of made that connection, and was already really in love with country music and Western swing and hillbilly swing and all that stuff. So certainly all the Bob Wills players. Junior Barnard was kind of my guy for the longest time. He had a real kind of dirty style that I really related to, and Eldon and all those guys. So all of that stuff, and of course there's all that there's guys in town that are fantastic at doing that stuff. Dave Biller and JD and all those. I mean, those folks have been influenced as well too over and actually the first, if I back up, the show that I went to that I met Weston at, just coincidentally, that ended up starting the Shivers was whatever band Dave Biller was playing in, that I went to go see at Threadgills when they had shows in that back room on Riverside, rest in peace. But yeah, it was whatever hot band was, those guys had, like Kevin Smith was playing bass or something, and so I've certainly been influenced in those genres with guys in town too over the years, but it's stayed in that kind of 40s and 50s and maybe 60s kind of, hot country pictures.
Right. We're so fortunate in Austin that we have this wealth of musicians that, you really can, under normal circumstances, certainly not right now, but ordinarily you could go out on any night of the week and hear first-class musicians play for next to nothing at your local bar or even restaurant. It's like,
sure. Yeah. And these are world-class guys. Charco's, I mean, these are world-class musicians that
absolutely.
that you can go see any day of the week here in town. It's unbelievable. I think people take it for granted sometimes.
Yeah.
Y'all do. It's how can you not? I mean, it's everywhere. But it's unbelievable, and we're extremely lucky to have that.
And since the Continental Club, Sea Boys, and the Continental Gallery are also heavily anchored by residency bands, you can see them every week. Yeah. And so it becomes a thing where it's like, oh, I'm tired tonight, I can always go see them next week. So we do become a very jaded audience because we do have that plethora of choices on any given night.
All the time, yeah.
Jimmy Vaughn will be here next week. I'll go see it. It's insane.
Exactly. What other city in the United States gets to say that?
Right.
And, people always are like texting me or emailing me and saying, I saw on your website that you have John D. Graham and James McMurtry playing on Wednesday night. And it says $8 cover, but that's like $8 for each of them, right? Well, no, actually it's not. And you get William Harris Graham too, and it's all $8 for the whole night. They're absolutely dumbfounded, because in any other city they'd be paying $20 or $25 just to hear one of them.
Sure. Right. Yeah, it's we're very lucky.
Yeah.
I remember when I came to visit on my visit trip just to see, what was it going to be like? Should I come out here? And I remember I went to a place called Arts Rib House.
Yes.
And sorry to see that him go, but and saw Don Walzer, the beautiful voice of an angel, Don Walzer, at Art's Rib House.
Right.
Those were always great shows at Arts back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like gobsmacked, like what? And just knew then that night, okay, I'm moving here.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
Don really was the Pavarotti of the plains.
Yeah, it really was.
And I know Arts used to be one of the few places in town where you could go for bluegrass.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now radio's doing it some, of course.
Doing a pretty good job of that.
Yeah. But yeah, that was Art's whole vibe, was bluegrass mostly.
Right.
Yeah.
So y'all, now let's move from influences to songwriting. And when did you write your first songs, and how do you feel about that first song that you wrote?
Oh.
Go.
I'm not sure what it would. I don't know if I can remember what my first song was. It certainly would have been in the early 90s when I was late teenager, early 20s. I had a 4-track, and I still have the same 4-track. And I remember I bought a ukulele. For some reason, when I put a ukulele in my hands, I think I was listening to a lot of indie rock or something at the time. And for some reason, a ukulele made sense to write a song on. And so that was when I realized that was even a thing to write a song, and that I might be a songwriter or something like that. I have no idea what that song was, but like you said, I've got tons of tapes of all those old sessions. Who knows? But yeah, so that was my experience. It was probably 20 something years ago. I realized I could write a song.
Wow.
Yeah, and you are a great songwriter. On the other hand, I am not a songwriter. Although
but you have written songs.
I have written songs, and sometimes it will strike me, like I'll hear some music and I'll be able to write the lyrics, which I've done to a number of them. So I like that. But as far as like a process goes or anything, I don't. It's if something strikes me, or I actually, the last one that I wrote with Curtis Thomas, fiddle player for Wyco Shivers, I really wanted to write a song with the word debonair in it. So just picking a word and just kind of going from there. And so just writing it. But yeah, I don't have too many.
How does that make you not a songwriter?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You're still writing songs. You're still a songwriter.
All right.
But that really is a misnomer. You are a songwriter, Cella.
Right. You don't have to play acoustic guitar and sing songs to be a songwriter.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I've done a few. I've written a few. So I guess.
But you're more lyric based, is that correct?
I am more lyric based, for sure.
Okay. And Jeremy, do you work on lyrics and melody or independently?
It really depends on what the occasion is and what I'm feeling. A lot of times it's kind of groove oriented, or I think, or sometimes I get done with a gig and be like, man, I really need a blah 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 something in my set, and approach it that way, and write a song. But yeah, you certainly have to be inspired by something lyrically, or it's a throwaway song, which we've all got plenty of those too. But yeah, unless you're inspired by something, it's not going to mean a whole lot. But again, that's fun, especially in the rock and roll world.
This is where we break into "It's all gonna be all right."
All gonna be all right.
I love that song.
Thanks.
I think I don't remember who said it, but I think one of the most profound sayings about songwriting is throw away your first 100 songs.
Yeah.
Like the first 100 are just practicing for the 101st. That's going to be the good one.
Sure. And
I am definitely still practicing.
It's a songwriting experience. It's tough. It can be work sometimes, but everybody's got their own kind of way of going about it.
That's the thing, is that some people have a process where they actually schedule songwriting.
Yeah.
They schedule a time every day or every other day or whatever that they sit down and they write.
Mhm.
And then there are others that they wait for the inspiration to pop into their heads, and that's how they go with it. I mean, it's really every possible combination you could imagine. That's how songs get written.
And that last one is kind of how I approach it. I tend to not try to force anything, but with that said, you do have to realize that when inspiration does strike, and it usually seems to happen to me once a year for a period of like 3 or 4 months, and that's when I know that when it does hit, that I've got to sit down and write a record and record a record. And like in that, if I'm going to get anything done for that year, it's got to be then. And whatever, I maybe use it on down the line or whatever, but it tends to happen that way. And then once I'm done with that, I couldn't care less about writing a song for a few months at least, worry about some other aspect of music. But that's for me most of the time.
And then
go ahead, Cella.
I was just going to say, and also just in reference to the Shivers, like a lot of times Bill, Jeremy will bring the music in, and we'll all talk about it. What do we think we need in the set, or what is this vibe? And then we'll write it from there, and we'll write it together. We've done a few songs like that.
And then
a collaborative effort.
White Ghost Shivers. Then is it credited to White Ghost Shivers?
Usually it's always the way we've done it. It's always a collaborative effort with White Ghost Shivers, and that's the great thing about. We've always had multiple songwriters at any given time in the group, and it's usually one person that kind of brings the main idea, and that person is usually credited. But it's never like here's how the song is. You do that, it's here's an idea, here's some words. There have been times where here's the music, and Cella will go write the words, and yet literally like in the other room while we're working out the chords or whatever, or here's blah blah blah. We need another part for the song. Someone will come up with that on the spot. So it's more than any other band I've been in. Maybe it's an ultra collaborative effort. I mean, it may be a function of us never being able to let just a simple song come out. We've always got to put some trick or some gag, some musical gag to accompany whatever other gags, physical gags going on, or dance or whatever, so it's always a complicated process that involves a lot of people.
Well, and the presentation of those songs are complicated and require a lot of people too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a true collaboration from beginning to end.
That's it.
And so when you go out and hear other bands, and if you hear are there specific sounds that will trigger for you some kind of reaction?
Good question, Dianne.
That is a good question. I'm triggered again by performance. I think triggers me the most, because that's just what I know, what I grew up with, what I love about music is sort of this performance that goes with it. So I love that. But I'm also really triggered by minor, and it just kind of what you said, like the musical gags, the intricacies, the quirks. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, certainly. I think so. I love American roots music, and so those sorts of sounds trigger me. Cranky guitars and hooting and hollering and that sort of thing. strong rhythmic forces always seem to accompany it, whether it's country or rockabilly or blues or any of the early American forms, or in the Shivers case, even New Orleans jazz is kind of where we started, traditional jazz. So all of those sounds trigger me. Horns, horns, a couple of horns going at the same time has always triggered me. We always had those in the Shivers going. There's a ton of stuff, but for me, it's usually always older sounds. I guess that's my answer to the question.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
More sounds that most people aren't, and sometimes I forget that all the stuff that I love and that I listen to isn't what most people listen to. You forget that sometimes.
Well, it sounds like you're attracted to melodic music.
Certainly. Mm-hmm. And that can cover a lot of different genres too. I still keep my ear on whatever modern metal's going on or that sort of thing. It's a whole nother world that I don't have as many toes. I don't have as many toes and fingers in anymore. But that can fall into that same category.
Yeah. That was an interesting question. I think now I'm going to be listening with different, maybe just more attentive ears or something. I don't know. It's an interesting question.
So I don't know if y'all are familiar with Robin Trower's music very much, but in his solo stuff, he had a song called Into the Flame. And there is a guitar intro to that. Like, what it's like when you're on a Ferris wheel or you're on a roller coaster and your stomach just drops and your heart comes up in your throat.
Yeah.
Yes.
The intro to that song does that to me every time I hear it, every single time. And
wow.
It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know what there is about that. I mean, it's a blues-based rock. But it's that particular progression of notes, the way Robin plays them, that it absolutely takes my breath away every time. And doo-wop, that's the other thing too.
Oh wow!
For me.
See, there's something this sort of thing happens in the early rockabilly stuff from the mid 50s, was that there was such a difference in and a lot of times the actual people on the session, the actual musicians, that everything was, you can feel the excitement of what was going on. Electric guitars kind of new, turning amps up kind of loud to get a little something out of them was a new thing. And you can really, that excitement is tangible and is older. And so those sorts of things really trigger me too, because it's just so exciting. And it's just incredibly exciting. It's an emotional feeling as well as an aura.
That's what I was gonna say. I am, when you're saying this trigger thing, I do get that. Like, I'll get these feelings when I'm hearing a certain song or it's a vocal that I'm just like on, kind of tightening up or tensing up or on the edge of my seat, because I'm in it. I'm like, this passion is coming out and I'm really connecting to it. So yeah.
That's a good question, Diane.
Interesting question.
Wow, too.
And interestingly enough, I've never asked anybody else that question.
That's a good one.
Keep her right there.
Yeah. We got the maiden voyage there.
So are you, Jeremy, you mentioned that you are playing a show coming up. Have you guys been doing any live shows since the pandemic started?
Yes, I have been. The Shivers have done a handful back when it was a little nicer outside, and the Shivers were doing some outside shows. We haven't done one in a few months at this point, I think. Everybody's got different. The Shivers are a large band as well.
Right.
We have now six piece right now, and so there's a lot of different. Everyone has different situations,
different boundaries, different. Everybody's
navigating this whole time. So it's so we haven't done anything in a couple of months, but we'll be looking at getting back on it once there's some outside shows available for the Shivers. And I've been doing smaller band stuff, for the past few months.
Any live streams, or has it been just the occasional live show?
It's been live shows. I never got into the live streams. For a while there, I was making at the beginning of the thing, like last spring and summer. I was making little videos in my garage, and
yes, you were.
Live, I would make a video and then put them out for people to gawk at or whatever. And so I just approached it that way, but I went right into, I made a record those first 4 months. And so I kind of just, instead of doing the live streaming, I just focused any musical attention on making a record and writing songs. It happened to be one of those periods where I was inspired. I mean, that was a very inspiring period. So yeah.
And how about you, Cella? Have you been doing anything with live streaming or anything?
No music at all. Just a little playing in the house, but no, I've taken not a complete turn, because I've always had a love for clothes, and as Jeremy will attest, we used to take trailers with us on the road to fill up with clothes from our thrift shopping and vintage shopping. So I'm a lover of that, and I'm venturing in and going into vintage shopping and thrift. I've taken over the Flashback 40 years in South Austin Flashback on South First.
Yep.
So I'm over there right now, and hoping lots of good things to come here this year in that new career. Like, I'm just kind of taken a pivot and gone into that.
Well, congratulations. I had no idea you were at Flashback now. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. There will be some news and a big drop about it, but coming up. So it's exciting. But it is a full pivot, a full changed life.
Uh-huh.
And then also on top of that, we got my mother to come to Texas. So she is staying here. She's here now. And that's a wonderful, wonderful change. And so, yeah, so life has been, it's been a very interesting year. And, but no music right now.
Are you not with Squirrel Nut Zippers anymore, or is that just on hiatus?
It's just, I am still with the Zippers, with the Squirrel Nut Zippers, but yeah, we got reeled in from the tour last March, and it's another big band. It's
right.
10 people, 12 of us all together on the road. So there's just no going out right now. So we did put out a new album. So there's a new record out from the Zippers. So I can send over that link or something, but it's just all been over, we're just sending files
right
over the internet. So none of us have gotten together.
Jimbo Mathis is an old buddy from the Continental Club.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a keeper. For sure. So that's been an incredible experience, and I think one that's serving all aspects of my life well. So I hope to continue. I mean, we will continue with it. It's just when is the question. So
I'm sure it was challenging both for you and for the Shivers, for you to be trying to kind of mesh the two bands' schedules, and yeah.
It's been extremely challenging, and to do it, and I know Jeremy can attest to that, but I just think it was just such a good opportunity and a great experience, and I think it was the right time. So, and we've been able to do it. Like, it's, we've been able to sort of meld it together and continue on. So
Mhm.
That's the plan for the future. Is to do it all.
I know
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
Do it all.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that at all. I know last year I missed seeing y'all at the Austin Music Awards, so we never got a picture last year.
Oh yeah. That's right.
We'll reenact.
Annual photo.
We'll do a reenactment.
Yeah.
Right.
Do we know what's happening with any of that this year?
At this point, I think it's still going to be virtual.
Yeah. Okay.
They had the voting this week, I believe. But
Yeah.
See,
they should be.
I got to keep up.
Actually, I don't even know what the date of it is going to be this year. I know South by Southwest is going to be virtual. And I know that originally the Austin Music Awards had been moved to an earlier date so that it didn't conflict with or get tied to South by anymore.
That's right.
But I don't know if that is still the case. I haven't followed that whole thing to know whether there's.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. I think it was last year. Was that the first year or maybe the year before?
Last year, I think, was the first year that they did it as early as they did.
Okay.
Or no, 2 years ago they did it early too because it was on.
Yeah, I think it was 2
early
years
in
ago.
February anyway.
It was in February. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that happened last February and March is I'm like, was that last year or was that 2 years ago?
Exactly.
It's very confusing.
I can't remember. I can't remember, except I do recall. So the Squirrel Nut Zippers, we were on a tour, and we were just all talking about, it was all sort of unfolding slowly. And I was like, wow, are we going home? Are we stopping the tour? What's happening? And I just remember looking at the news, what's going on. And the day, and I forget what day it was, but the day it was announced that South by was canceled, I thought, that's it, you guys. We have to go home. Like, this is serious. This is serious if South by has been canceled.
So my wife and I were on a vacation, on our annual vacation, and we were on a cruise. There was this time last year, and the last couple of days on the cruise, we're watching TV, and it was when they had quarantined the cruise ship off the coast of Japan, I believe it was. We're like, wow, what's going on?
What's happening?
And it was, we got off the boat, couldn't get off the boat quick enough, I guess. But yeah, it was right when that all went down. We were actually on a boat.
I forgot that you were on the cruise.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we got, by the time we got home a week later, it was pretty, it got to be where it was going to be bad,
Yeah. We were out so long. I don't think we got back until maybe the 17th of March. So we were out a long time, and every single gig we had, we were the last show. Like, they were shutting down the towns, the cities after we were there. Wow. I was like, oh my God, we're the last people out here.
We had a 2-night stand with Chuck Prophet at Continental Club, and his second night was it. We were done.
Wow. Yeah. What date was that, Diane?
Yeah. That was March, I think it was March 13th, or it might have been before that, the 8th or 9th, maybe.
That was my last one was that 8th or 9th weekend, because the Saddle Sores were releasing a record. It was our CD release weekend. And that was the last shows. Yeah. It's a great time to release a record.
I remember after the whole quarantine and everything began, I remember thinking to myself, I had seen Gary Clark Jr. at the Austin Music Awards, and he had just flown in from Europe. And I remember there were, of course, tons of people trying to get to him and talk to him and everything. And of course, as tall as he is and as short as I am, he saw me through the crowd, and I got one of those looks like, come rescue me.
Right.
So I went over, and I remember I just stroked his face, and I was so glad to see him. And I remember afterwards, when things kind of got crazy and people were worried about, the contagion of the pandemic. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, I shouldn't have touched his face. And then I thought to myself, but how could I not?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like you don't think about it in the moment. You just do what comes naturally.
Yeah.
And then afterwards you think, I shouldn't. Well, not only because of any danger to me, but because how did I know that I hadn't been exposed to it and giving it to him with kids at home?
Sure. Well, we didn't know then, but it's interesting that you say, how could you not? And I do wonder, like, how is this going to change those moments for all of us, now, like, try and go in for a hug. No, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's an interesting time.
Today, there was an article that I read saying, I think that with the mutations that are going on, the different variants of the COVID virus, that one of the things that we're going to have to accept is that COVID-19 is never going away.
Right.
We'll have it for the rest of our lives.
That's right.
Have to figure out how to live with it.
Right.
And so as these different variants come up, that may mean having to change things that now seem normal in this time. Right. That may not be normal in another 2 months. Who knows?
It seems like it's going to be constantly moving the goal line.
Right. Right. So I guess there's no way to tell what the future is going to bring because it's all so nebulous.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Yeah. But the one thing we do know is that the Continental Club is opening again. We don't know when.
But it is.
And most of our residencies will be coming back just exactly the way they are now.
That's right.
Good.
Oh,
we want to be there.
On the calendar stays exactly the way it was, although nobody can see it right now anyways, but
we want to be there. We want to be there.
We can't wait to play there again too.
Hey, you know what, Dianne? We were talking about the Continental, and we were discussing that the Shivers broke the liquor sales one of our gigs. I couldn't remember. Jeremy, do you know what year that was?
That was like 10 years. That was at least 10 years ago.
Yeah, I wondered about that. Just like I remember we broke the record that night.
Not surprised.
Everybody was very thirsty.
It would have to be you guys or the Weary Boys.
Right.
It was
probably the band.
Exactly. It was a very thirsty band. But Curtis was saying
hootenannies down there too, though. Yeah.
Curtis was saying he thought that was the night that we broke the record, and then we got in the van and went up to Kansas and broke the floor at Josie. Yeah.
And
so that could have been. I think that was our ramp up to that tour, was the liquor sales at the Continental.
Speaking of the Weary Boys, so we've known them forever, and when they basically moved up to the Continental Club, whenever that was, and started doing their thing there, was when we got the Shivers got their spot at Beerland, and because that's where they started as well, and they started playing down on the track on Guadalupe back in the day, but I mean literally on the street. Yeah. But we took their we didn't take it, but Randall gave us the I believe it was Wednesday night? I can't remember now.
I don't remember.
When they started playing the Continental Club.
You know what? I think it was Wednesday night. It was Tuesday or Wednesday.
I can't remember. I think it was. Because what did they do at Continental? Was it Wednesdays?
No, I think they did Tuesday nights at the Continental. I think.
Okay, well then that was what it was.
So it was a Tuesday because that's when I was playing. There was a Tuesday, and you guys were on after me.
And then we went, and I think we started playing Long Branch, and we're just packing that place out. I think Steve came down and was a long branch, and then we started playing.
It was, but listen,
that's how that worked out.
To get Steve to come see us was, I mean, we were trying with Danielle forever to get him to come out, and we were like, we'll promise you ice cream and we'll promise you you got to come out and see us, and he finally did, and there was a line around the block or something, and it was great, and he said all right.
that was always our end goal, was to play Continental Club.
That was the goal,
and that was
it,
the goal.
We have to get to the Continental. Woo! Wait a minute. Well, wait. We did it.
We did it. Congratulations, Cella.
But you're right. It's hard to get Steve to go out to hear bands. And a lot of the time, what we end up doing is just depending on other bands to bring us their friends.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we got Clem and Clyde's Whiskey Business, wasn't it? Because you brought him in as an opener.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's been one of the things that has worked best for us is if we have a band that says, hey, I've got these buddies and they're real good, and can they come in and open our show? Sure, why not?
Yeah.
And we always took that really seriously too. Like, I think we realized at some point, like, it was very important to make sure, one, that it was a good bill, but that it was going to be like, basically suggesting a band to you guys to say, hey, they're good too. We hope you like them, because they may end up playing here forever,
Exactly.
It's kind of pretty heavy, man. A lot of pressure to get an opening band.
Once that Split Lip Rayfield show with us, that was good. Anyway. Yeah,
and Split Lip did the same thing for us back in the day. Took us to Kansas.
Right.
That's what made me think
a handful of spots, and basically that was it. Then we could go back and we toured Kansas every few months or whatever for a period of time.
Have always been fanatical, and so once they love you, you're in for life.
That's it. Yeah.
That's the truth.
I know I'm one of those diehard Split Lip fans to this day. The largest part of my wardrobe is either Split Lip Rayfield or Southern Culture on the Skids t-shirt.
Yes.
Hey, so Dianne,
I'm with you.
So Dianne, I grew up in Spartanburg, South Carolina. So I used to see Southern Culture in the late, it would have been early 90s, but they would come play the Doggons, the little club in Spartanburg, because they were, I think they were based out of, it wasn't Asheville, but it was somewhere not an hour away from us. And so we would see them play for, in a 50-person kind of room, doing the thing.
Right.
And yeah, that was fantastic. So, and then once I got here, and they got a lot bigger, and started doing the thing at the Continental Club, I go see them. And what a trip! What a great band! My goodness.
They're so great. They're so great. I used to see them in San Diego back in the 90s, so I was seeing them there.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
And those are two bands also that are very theatrical.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Because Split Lip Rayfield, when you've got Jeff Eaton with that damn gas tank bass.
Yeah.
Who the hell has a gas tank bass?
Yeah,
oh my gosh. And they're just so powerful. All of it, just powerhouses.
Just breaking strings every song. Yeah, it certainly was a production.
Yep.
And, it's like, and Southern Culture still has it in their rider. You've got to have a bucket of
chicken.
Yeah, bucket of chicken.
Have to have it.
You got to do the thing.
If they don't ever use it, you've got to have it.
Well, they're going to play. They got to play 8-piece box, right? I mean, they can't get off the stage without that.
Right. And that's Jimbo Mathis. Got to have the chicken.
Yep.
Always. That's funny.
Well, kids, it's so much fun catching up with you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's so good to see you, even though like I said, I see you online and I'm looking, but to be here with you right now, it's just such a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
it's a big pleasure for me, I'll tell you that. We try to keep in everybody's mind all the people that play regularly at our venues, and whether they're residencies or whether they're touring bands or people like White Ghost Shivers who have, 2-night stands if they want them anytime that they play at the club. And so we want to keep people remembering that this is what we're about. This is who we are. This is who you are. And that, we expect to see them when we're open again.
Well, thank you. Thanks. We're proud and honored to be part of the family, for sure.
So proud and honored. Like we said, that was the end. That was the game to get there and to be with you guys. We love you all, and yeah, we miss you.
Well, no question about it. We all feel the same. So we'll be looking forward to that first return gig.
Can't wait.
We look forward to stomping on the stage once again.
And
breaking some more records.
Cella and Jeremy have very kindly donated any tips or donations to go to the Employees Fund, which is www.continental.club.com/closed. I hate the name of that page.
But I agree, but thumbs up.
Page you go to.
Go buy some stuff. Go buy some stuff and get down there, right?
Yep.
That's it. I better get I need a new hat, I think.
And you can get merch, which 100% of the profits go to the employees as well at www.continentalclub.com/Austin-shop. And like I said, the special edition shirts are done for right now, but we will be having some new bands doing shirts in about 3 weeks, I think. Patrick needed a break because he does all those screen print.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, but it was so cool.
We'll put the link up on our Facebook page too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's much
appreciated. And come visit us. We're around. White Ghost Shivers still here, ready to entertain you. Absolutely. And I'm over at Flashback on South First.
Yes.
40 years in the making. Come on down and say hi.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I know. It's great.
And this video, once we go offline, I'll be uploading this to the Continental Club, the Gallery, and Seaboys Facebook pages, as well as to our YouTube channel, which is Continental Club ATX.
Oh, cool.
And you can find it there. And so until next time, kids, love you badly.
We love you. We love you. Stay well. Stay well. And can I ask one thing? Does this mean, Deborah, are you on here with us?
I am.
Oh, I was just like, is that you, Deborah, right there?
Well, with my goofy photo that Austin so handily made my handle right here.
Oh, that's so good. Deborah, this is Dianne. Say hi.
Hi, Deborah.
Hello.
Deborah was there for maybe one of my first performances as well in San Diego, but
I wanted to unmute myself to say Janis Joplin.
Yeah, Janis, big influence. Janis, Liza. I mean, the list, it's ridiculous. Singing to the back seats, baby, always.
There you go.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and I will see you next week. Unfortunately, Tamika Jones had to cancel out of next week because she got a paying gig, which I don't blame her for at all. And so I don't have a confirmation of who's going to be with me next week, but somebody will be here, and I'll see you.
It just might be the three of us. We'll come back.
Can't find anybody. Call us, Dianne.
Yeah, right.
Oh, there's my COVID hair. Hello.
Thanks so much for having us, Dianne.
Thank you for thinking of us and for loving us.
Oh,
okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Continued birthday wishes. Bye, Jeremy. See you later. Deborah, I'll talk to you soon.